So I guess you also played. You also developed on Elder Scrolls Morrowind, right?
And Oblivion.
And Oblivion. So for you, is it like that you always want to do something kind of new? Because I think Oblivion was probably the first role playing game where I had this kind of ego side. Because normally in a role playing game you're playing on third person perspective.
Oh,
But
both games were in first and third person.
Oh, okay.
You can use them both. The thing that was great about the first two games in the Elder Scrolls series, of which I am not responsible. They were open world games before there were any kind of open world games, and they were recklessly profligate in their content. Way too much to do. And then the thing that was amazing about Morrowind is they put it on a console. No one had ever done an American-style game on a console. Then Oblivion, essentially it had very long sight lines, it had visually some really great stuff, it had more of the same open world, but it was actually a much more polished game. So those two games are kind of a logical progression.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Right. So, but now in Kingdoms of Amalur, you don't have this kind of you can switch between third person and.
No, you cannot. It's only a third person game.
Okay, but why do you choose so?
Well, it turns out that if you can see your character doing all these cool things in combat, that's the only time it's a lot of fun. I'm not sure that the first person exciting button mashing combat that we do would be any fun to watch for you. You want to see how cool you are, and also, frankly, it's a good tactical camera. I like to be able to see where all the bad guys are. I don't. The reason I played third person in Morrowind and Oblivion, when all of my co-workers would yell at me and say, "That's stupid, don't do that, it doesn't look as good." I said, "It looks good to me because I know when the bad guys are coming up from behind me." So. And different styles, different strokes, so that you are able to see your character, and I think it increases your sense of who you are when you can see your stuff in a role-playing game, because your stuff is so much part of your customization of your character.
But what's this kind of character? So it's like he's going from death more or less now?
We will of course never ruin the game by telling you anything at all about the story except the premise. Which is a good idea, because in fact we want the premise to excite you. The best part of a story has to be the first time you create your character in a role-playing game, and it also has to have suspense in it that drives you all the way through the story. And it turns out that being dead and waking up seems kind of mysterious to you, because you don't know what happened. And then finding out that you're not only you're dead and you woke up, but you're the only person in history that this has ever happened for. Well, that seems like it's the kind of event that you'd expect to be in a role-playing game, where you're going to have a big role in history. And the great thing about it is that the player and the character share the same perspective on their suspense. The character doesn't know who he is, the player doesn't know, and as you progress through the game, you learn more, and as you progress through the game, you discover, we reveal, that mystery about yourself is a mystery about the world.
Totally.
As we say, like the word reckoning is for every life there is a reckoning, and I don't even know what that means. That's Mark Nelson is just making up these great gnomic things, but I know at the same time it's absolutely true. If you know that you are the first person in the world who has a second chance, and it turns out that the world needs a second chance too, and that overlap between you and the world is what makes that story about you. It's just a new way to say the thing is, gosh, you're really, really important, and I bet you want to know why you're really, really important.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that you, it's like the story is spanning more or less like 20,000 years?
10,000 years of history is the Kingdom of Amalur. There are two products that are currently planned. One is a single-player AAA role-playing game, of which I am, the visionary, and then there's the MMO, which is going to come out later, because it's harder to make one of those than it's
okay.
Yeah. And that MMO will be set in the same world and later in history. So that you will, the great thing about having this single player game is that we foreshadow a lot of the content, and then when you see it in a different context in the future, you say, "Hey, look, I've been there before. Oh my God! Look how the world has changed. So.
That's really cool. That's
It is way cool.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay. So, do you think it's really important that you have this kind of really spanning story? It's like a bit like the Lord of the Rings. So, would you say you're using every part of the story, or is it just for background more or less?
I think, as in the Elder Scrolls, though you're only at the moment using a specific piece of it to affect quests, you're using the whole richness of the background. Like, it's not important to you and me that there are mummies and pyramids, but we are who we are because when we were kids we said mummies and pyramids are cool. Yeah. And that stuff has to be constantly in the mind of the player. I don't think it's a real world unless there's that sense of that history. So you're not real people unless you're amazed by all the things that we find amazing as human beings.
So now